Hi Capricorn, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your May 2021 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic cross spread as always, and I also pulled an Oracle card and a Mudra card for you guys. And also, we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling these astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus will be as far as that goes. So, do that first. All right. Okay, so we have the moon. We have Leo energy, which for you guys is your 8th house. That's intimacy, taxes, investments. And we have 12, which for you guys is Sagittarius. So we still have the South Node in that time. So keep that in mind as we go along. All right, now starting with the main situation, we have the Tower. So the Tower usually represents things that didn't necessarily have a stable foundation coming down. Usually could come across as a sudden and abrupt change, but usually in hindsight you look back on it and you realize, okay, yeah, maybe there were some flaws in it, right? Now, for some of you, I'm picking up on the energy that it might be you guys who are actually enacting in a Tower moment. So it could be someone else who's actually caught by surprise by this movement of yours, but obviously it could vary from person to person. But yeah, we'll see where that's leading as we go a little bit later in the reading. In the challenge or obstacle position, we have the 3 of Cups. So this is actually Cancer energy, which for you guys is your opposite sign. And usually this is an energy that points to celebrations. Usually I view it as connecting with, long-standing friends, possibly even siblings. So to see this come up in a challenge or obstacle position, could just be saying that you might be having a falling out with someone as far as a friendship goes. There's nothing really that indicates that astrologically speaking, but that's, well, to be fair, there's actually going to be that full moon in Scorpio coming up, so that could actually be what causes it there for some of you. So definitely keep an eye out for that full moon in Scorpio. For those of you who watched this before, we're physically in May, but for those of you who don't see it until we're actually in May, and if you look back and there was a friendship issue, that might have been due to that full moon energy. So something to keep in mind there. See if anything else comes to mind with this. Well, we will have Mars in your opposite sign too. So given that this represents Cancer energy, be on the lookout for that as well. So might feel some oppositional energy in your connections. In the foundation position, we have the Hermit, which is Virgo energy, the 6 of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, and the 7 of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. So, interesting mixture of energies here. Now, with the Hermit, to me, this represents like a deep analysis, and especially for you guys, given that Virgo represents your 9th house. So it could just be one of those things where you're really digging in deep, trying to see the big picture around the situation. And with the 6 of Swords, could just be saying for some of you, you are leaving something behind, or for others of you, could just be saying that that could be the key, to helping you get that insight that you're looking for. It might be to, give yourself a little bit of distance from the situation. So, maybe take a long weekend away or something like that. And with the 7 of Cups, could just be saying that, keep in mind that you may not be seeing things too clearly right now. So that's something you want to be mindful of as well as you move through this. But yeah, looks like for some of you, it could just be saying that the best way to get that clarity could just be to take a little distance from the situation. All right, in the past position, we have the 2 of Wands, which is Aries energy. So for some of you, this might have been something that could have started around the time when Aries season first started. So that would be toward the end of March when it kicked off. So, but yeah, for some of you, this could just represent a fresh start. So maybe for some of you, this could be something that might not have gotten along too far, whatever that Tower moment is. You might have gone into it with a lot of enthusiasm. And for whatever reason, like I said, it could just be something that might need to be reworked. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to just be a completely done deal. Could just be, especially given that we're going to have Mercury retrograde toward the very end of May. Could be one of those things, it could just be as simple as that, where you might find maybe some paperwork wasn't filled out correctly, because that Mercury retrograde will be taking place in your sixth house of, that's your work, your daily routine, your health. So it could just be one of those things where you might have to revisit something in that area. All right. In the present position, we have the Five of Wands. So this is usually an indicator of some conflict, and we did see the Leo energy here as well. So now we have a card pointing to Leo energy, which is eighth house. So, well, for you guys, it's eighth house. So for some of you, this could even be possibly. Now, this is probably going to be for a very small percentage of you, but for some of you, this could even be a falling out with family around some kind of an inheritance or something along those lines, where everyone feels like they deserve a bigger cut or something along those lines, so it could be one of those contentious types of situations. But again, like I said, I feel like that'd be for a very small percentage of you. But yeah, for most of you, I feel like this could be pointing more to the work environment, where you just have a lot of conflict in there, where a lot of people looking out for themselves, right? Maybe there's no real collaborative effort, and you could just feel like it's exhausting. So that's what I'm seeing there. In the near future position, we have the Two of Cups. So more Cancer energy here. And like I said, in May, you guys are going to have Mars moving through the sign of Cancer. So to me, I'm seeing this as kind of a meeting of the minds, So for those of you, if this is some kind of, like I said, I'm picking up on more of a friendship than a romantic situation, but even if it is a romantic situation that might fall apart for you guys, it looks like, you will actually find the meeting of the minds with someone new in the very near future. And like I said, whatever this is around, if it's your work environment, friendships, you name it, it looks like you will actually come into contact with at least one other person where you feel like you really see eye to eye with them and get that started. All right. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Magician, the Eight of Wands, and the Two of Pentacles. So, seeing this actually gives me a different spin on things. Well, all right, I'll give you a couple different ways I'm interpreting these cards. But going back to what I was saying in the beginning, as far as I felt like for some of you, it could be you guys that are enacting this tower moment. If that's the case, I feel like it could be one of those things where you might have been wishing and hoping for something to kick off, right? With that Eight of Wands energy, maybe this was something especially given for you guys. Sagittarius energy, which is what this card represents, is your 12th house, and we see the 12 here too. This could have been something that you, a long held dream that you might have had, for example. You've been hoping for it, wishing for it, right? And now it finally comes, and now it's like too much, So it's one of those things where it almost reminds me of if you click on the internet to open a new tab and it doesn't open right away. So you're like, all right, what's going on? You keep clicking it, and then 10 seconds later, you have like 5 new tabs open. Could be one of those things, where you're thinking, you're really hoping to get something off the ground. Maybe you start to assume, okay, well, it's not happening. So you kept, putting that energy out there. Now everything comes all at once. So be mindful of that, where that could cause a tower moment for you guys, where you could just be a bit overwhelmed in certain situations. But yeah, that's one way I could see the energy playing out. And then, like I was saying, the other thing could just be saying that if there is a situation that you felt was overdue, like I said, if there's been a lot of conflict in the situation, this could be you guys actually separating yourselves from that. And again, like I said, I feel like this is something that you guys, for the majority of you, would be the ones actually causing that, but intentionally. But I will say, keep in mind what this could just be saying here, though, is to just be careful around having a plan as far as if you do leave abruptly without a backup plan in place. So again, like I said, going back to a generic but relatable example is if you're in a toxic work environment and you decide that you're going to leave it, right? So you have this tower moment, but then you realize, oh wait, I didn't have another job lined up, right? So now you're going to possibly have to be a little bit tighter with your budget for a bit, So that's just an example of how it could play out. But with the Magician energy here and that Eight of Wands, to me, it looks like it's saying you will have a lot of opportunities. So it could just be a matter of deciding on one and locking it down. before you end the other situation, So in that regard, I still see it as an overall positive because to me that's saying you'll have a lot of options. It's just a matter of putting a plan in place to carry it out. All right. In the environment position, we have the moon in reverse, the King of Cups in reverse, and the Queen of Swords in reverse. So, all right. So usually the moon represents when you have it actually in the upright. Usually I point out to people that it's like being in an unfamiliar place and a light goes out, right? So, while the lights are on, you were perfectly able to navigate the room, no problems. You weren't bumping into anything, you weren't knocking anything over. But all of a sudden, if the lights go out, now you're going to be a little bit more cautious, right? You're going to feel your way around, make sure you're not knocking anything over. So that's how I usually view the moon in the upright. Given that it's coming up in reverse, King of Cups also in reverse, which is Scorpio energy, which is your house of friendships, and the Queen of Swords coming up in reverse, which is your 10th house of career and social status. To me, this is pointing again to that energy of the Scorpio full moon, so definitely keep an eye out for that as far as when you might get some sudden insights around a situation, because with this coming up in reverse, I feel like this is saying that you're actually seeing a situation more clearly. So this can definitely be one of those things where you might have someone in your work environment that comes across to you like they're a friend, right, and have your best interest at heart, but really you might be finding out that they've been undermining you. So that could be one way I see that energy playing out. And again, like I said, it could be friendships. I mentioned for a small percentage of you, inheritances as well. But yeah, whatever it is, whoever it is, I feel like this is saying is this month you actually be able to see that quite clearly to say, okay, thought this person had my best interest at heart. Obviously, they don't, right? And then you could cut ties from there. So that's what I'm seeing with that. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Emperor in reverse. So if this is, for example, going back to the work scenario, right? If this is your boss and you know that they're not doing things the right way, this could just be saying that you're actually hoping for that to be exposed this month, right? And for them to actually lose their power in that regard with the Emperor in reverse. I'm going to assume this isn't a hope. I wouldn't see for you guys anyway. You wouldn't want to be in that position yourselves with the Emperor in reverse. So yeah, I feel like this is saying that if someone's been doing something shady, you actually want that to come to light. And like I said, given what I see there, it probably will. So that's a positive. And in the outcome position, we have the Strength in reverse. So Leo energy here. So again, going back to the dice we see there. So for you guys, given that this is 8th house energy, it could just be saying, as far as just be mindful of investments. Like I said, it looks like you have a lot of opportunities if this is around finances, but just try to make sure you lay out the right plan, right? So with the Strength and the upright, to me, usually this represents, if we look, it looks like she's kind of holding the line back, right? So with this in reverse, it could just be saying that, you guys might have been holding something back for a while, right? As far as if you did feel that you were in a toxic work environment, or you did feel that there was a friend who was saying one thing to your face but another thing behind your back, right? So this could just be saying that you actually might confront them this month, which of course naturally could be the Tower moment. And I will say, keep in mind too, for those of you where I mentioned where it could be one of those things where you've been wishing and hoping for things to kick off and then everything comes all at once and you're overwhelmed. With this in the reverse position, just keep that in mind too, that, if you feel yourselves getting a bit overwhelmed, just try to, again, going back to that Six of Swords energy we saw there, try to take a little bit of time away if you can, so you don't actually overwhelm yourselves to the point where it might manifest in a physical ailment in some way. I don't think it'd be like a huge thing, but, could just be bedridden for a couple of days. Bottom of the deck, we have the Chariot. So to me, this is another indicator. Like I said, it could be one of those things where maybe you went through a period of stagnation and, maybe you're starting to think things wouldn't pick up for you. Looks like this month things are going to kick into hypercharge. So something to keep in mind there. But for the majority of you, I think that will be in a positive way. It just might take a little bit of adjustment on your part. Good thing is beneath that we see the Queen of Pentacles, which is actually the court card for your sign. So think you guys will be able to navigate it. Might be a bit of a bumpy ride, but that's what I see there. All right, moving on to your oracle cards. Actually, two came up for you guys. So the first one we have is Never Ending Story. There's the artwork, and the number is 37. So we'll see what this has to say. Okay, it says self-criticism, the wounded ego, unnecessary dramas. The oracle's message. There is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you cannot do this, must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in the lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. So, an interesting message there. As far as when it mentioned, you cannot say this, must not go there, should not say that unless your world come crumbling down. That makes me think of course, the tower, obviously, and what I was saying there with the strength card in reverse, where you might have been holding yourselves back from confronting someone around the situation. But like I said, it looks like this month you might actually go ahead and do that. The relationship message says sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other, more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, and low self-esteem are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship. Consider how valuable this knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for an important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. So an interesting message there. Like I said, I wasn't getting a huge relationship vibe from this overall, but like I said, it looks like for some of you, maybe you are going to be leaving one connection and quite quickly finding a more positive one after that. But hopefully that resonated with you either way. And the prosperity message says fear, envy, procrastination, greed, and the perception of victimhood could all be active in your life at this moment. Are you comparing yourself with others, thinking their success should be yours? Maybe you're afraid of all the good that is coming your way, so you step out of your lane, totally aware of what you're doing, but seemingly powerless to stop yourself. Are you back where you started, or in a situation that reminds you of past failures? Financial insecurity scaring you? You must learn to love yourself through missteps and sabotaging moments. Use criticism constructively right now. Better yet, stop telling this story altogether. Make up a new one. The universe loves you deeply and will wait for you to figure that out. Tell a new story, and success is all but guaranteed. You can do it. So, pretty positive message there. Some of that, if there is some self-sabotaging moments, that could be what you're being called to release anyway, as the South Node does wrap up its transit through your 12th house. Should end toward the end of the year, I think. So, hopefully that resonated. And the other oracle card you guys got is Between Worlds. There's the artwork, and the number is 3. Okay, it says transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, no man's land. The oracle's message, between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place, between what was and what will be, is a state of making and unmaking and making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within the divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so and you will not be disappointed. So, interesting message there as far as the whole between worlds theme, because like I said, for some of you it looks like possibly leaving one connection and jumping into another almost right away, or like I was saying with a job situation where you might leave a toxic work environment. It looks like you'd have a ton of options, but maybe some confusion around which way to go with that, so keep that in mind too. The relationship message says this is a time to explore the new energy between you and another. It is not a moment for certainty, but rather for discovery and curiosity. You don't yet know if this will last forever, so allow yourself to explore who you are and what is reflected back to you. This relationship is meant to educate you about yourself. What do you need? What do you like or dislike? What values are important to you? You are in a critical phase of this relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. So again, like I said, I didn't necessarily get a huge relationship vibe from the reading, but I hope it resonated with you as well. The new energy between you and another, that obviously makes me think of the Two of Cups energy there. And the prosperity message says, in your work, sometimes you try things that have worked for others, hoping that you too will be successful. When this symbol appears, it reminds you that sometimes the path to your prosperity is a gamble. Win or lose, you can learn much from what comes of your wager. It's a good time to bet on your skills and talents in new and different arenas. Remain curious, and with the right combination of timing and luck, you will stumble upon something golden that will be unlike anything you've known before. So, definitely an interesting message there. Like I said, for a majority of you, I feel like this is related more to the work environment, possibly, like I said, friendships too, but hopefully that resonated with you. And lastly, we have a mudra for you guys. So, the mudra you guys got for this month is the Shankavarta Mudra. There it is there, and the keyword for it is intuition. Alright, and if you want to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it says, you can, but under benefits, it says quiets the mind, turns the attention inward, strengthens intuition, serves as a gateway to hear the wordless teachings of your own heart. So if that sounds like a mudra you think would be beneficial for you guys, we'll put the name of it in the description of the video as always. We'll wrap up there and I'll see you all next month. Alright, bye.